I have been sitting here thinking about this team, and honestly, the situation surrounding Christian Haynes and his future with the Seattle Seahawks is becoming impossible to ignore. Reports confirm that the third-round draft pick is currently fighting for his very existence on this roster as younger competition encroaches on his backup spot. It is a frustrating reality for a player who once held such promise, but now finds his technical flaws potentially ending his tenure in Seattle. And honestly, the more details come out, the harder it is to ignore what is going on behind the scenes. Hit the like button, subscribe, and drop your name and city in the comments because we are a brand new channel pushing toward our first 1,000 subscribers, and every single person who joins this community helps us keep going. Let's get into it. The Seattle Seahawks are aggressively pruning their roster this offseason, and guard Christian Haynes is currently at the center of a difficult conversation regarding his future with the team. After being selected with the 81st overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft following a standout 4-year career at UConn, Haynes arrived in Seattle with high expectations as a versatile interior lineman. Despite his strong collegiate background and flashes of technical skill in pass protection, he has struggled to cement a permanent role over his 24 games played during the last 2 seasons. Here's the thing nobody wants to say. While we all hoped his athleticism would translate into a starting spot, his inability to master his footwork has limited his impact and now places his roster security in serious jeopardy. The coaching staff has clearly moved to a state of evaluation, as competitors like Bryce Cabeldue and Mason Richman are now pushing for those vital backup spots, signaling that the organization is ready to move on if performance does not improve immediately. This reality is hitting our fan base hard, as many of us invested significant emotional capital into his development as a high-round draft pick who we believed would anchor our line for years to come. With a looming decision during training camp, the team faces a scenario where cutting him would result in a $260,048 dead cap hit for both 2026 and 2027, while simultaneously saving the franchise $1.3 million in salary cap space. This financial flexibility might be the final nail in his coffin, but we have to ask ourselves if the coaching staff actually sees something in the practice footage that we are missing from the stands. Is there a hidden technical breakthrough occurring behind closed doors? Or has the front office already quietly decided that his time in Seattle is effectively over? Christian Haynes is now fighting for his professional life in Seattle as the organization prepares to trim the roster, a reality that feels miles away from his arrival as the 81st overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. This situation stems from a failure to translate collegiate success at UConn into a solidified role under offensive line coach John Benton, despite the coaching staff rotating him through guard and center positions over the last 2 seasons. Haynes has appeared in 24 games, yet only 8 of those came last year, signaling a stagnation that has left the front office evaluating younger depth like Bryce Cabeldue and Mason Richman to fill his potential vacancy. And honestly, the business side of this transition is stark because cutting Haynes now yields $1.3 million in cap savings, even with a $260,048 dead cap hit for the next 2 seasons. We have seen the Seahawks gamble on draft pedigree before, but the patience usually wears thin when a player cannot move past the second team in his 3rd year. Behind closed doors, Mike Macdonald and his staff are likely weighing the long-term utility of a former 3rd-round choice against the urgency of fielding a functional unit that respects the salary cap. The technical ability Haynes displayed at the collegiate level, specifically his athleticism while pulling and his hand placement in pass protection, simply has not been enough to overcome his struggles with footwork and balance. It is a classic crossroads for a team looking to eliminate waste and prioritize consistency over potential. As Seahawks fans, we know that if a player fails to lock down a starting job or prove himself as a primary backup by the end of training camp, the cold reality of the NFL leaves little room for second chances. The Seahawks are currently at a critical crossroads where roster efficiency dictates our path back to prominence. We are shedding excess weight to build a leaner, more capable squad under Mike Macdonald, and the focus has landed squarely on the future of Christian Haynes. This matters immensely right now because the offensive line remains the heartbeat of our success, and we cannot afford wasted investments when we need reliable production to compete. Haynes arrived as the 81st overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft with high expectations, yet he has struggled to cement a starting role across multiple positions. And this is the part that gets me as we watch younger contenders like Bryce Cabeldue and Mason Richman push for those very same backup opportunities. If Haynes is released during training camp, the team secures $1.3 million in vital salary cap savings, though it leaves us with a $260,048 dead cap hit for both 2026 and 2027. This decision is not merely about one player. It is about establishing a standard of accountability that reverberates through the entire locker room. As we look toward our demanding schedule, including high-stakes battles against the San Francisco 49ers and the Los Angeles Rams, we must have 5 men up front who can execute with precision and consistency. If we fail to solidify this group, our standing within the NFC West and our broader playoff aspirations will certainly suffer. We require players who offer more than just potential. We need proven reliability to protect our quarterback and open lanes for our running backs. The era of patience is drawing to a close, and it is time for the Seahawks to prioritize those who demonstrate the necessary growth to help us secure another championship title for our loyal fan base in the Pacific Northwest. The potential move to part ways with Christian Haynes presents a complex decision for the Seahawks as we look to maximize roster efficiency. The argument for cutting ties centers on financial flexibility and the need for immediate production, as clearing his contract would save the organization $1.3 million against the salary cap. With Haynes unable to cement a starting role or provide consistent depth over his first 2 seasons, moving on allows the coaching staff to prioritize younger, more versatile prospects like Bryce Cabeldue or Mason Richman, who are pushing hard for those crucial backup spots. What makes this even bigger is the reality that our offensive line must become a cohesive unit to protect our investment in the backfield. However, the counter-argument is that we could be abandoning a third-round talent with clear athletic traits, such as his adept hand placement and ability to reach the second level, just before he might finally hit his stride. While the front office is surely fielding internal evaluations about his lack of progress, the broader NFL landscape remains wary of cutting high-pedigree players too early. Analysts observing the league often suggest that teams are becoming increasingly impatient with developmental projects. Yet some wonder if the coaching staff failed to provide a stable environment for him to grow. Here is where I land on this. While the statistics regarding his lack of starts are concerning, I find the narrative that he is completely finished as an NFL player to be somewhat overblown. It is far too easy to discard a guy who struggled during a period of transition, and I believe we should keep him through training camp to see if he can truly stabilize his footwork. If he cannot show growth against Cabeldue and Richman, then the roster math simply dictates he must move on for the sake of the team. The Seattle Seahawks are clearly prioritizing efficiency and long-term roster flexibility as we approach the 2026 season under Mike Macdonald. By ruthlessly evaluating veterans who have yet to secure a firm role, the front office is signaling that seniority no longer guarantees a spot on this roster. For us as fans, this shift should instill a sense of confidence because it demonstrates a commitment to high standards, even if it means moving on from draft picks like Christian Haynes. We should appreciate that the coaching staff is fostering genuine competition by elevating younger, hungrier players like Bryce Cabeldue and Mason Richman to push for those depth positions. And the more I look at this, the clearer it becomes that the franchise is moving toward a leaner, more productive salary cap structure that will pay dividends when we need to retain our true core stars. While it is difficult to see a third-round pick struggle to find his footing, the financial reality of saving $1.3 million while cutting waste is exactly how successful organizations navigate the modern league. It is time for us to embrace this transition and trust that the best performers will win out regardless of their draft status or previous expectations. It is a tough business, but this is the necessary path toward building a consistent contender in the NFC. If you were the head coach, would you keep Christian Haynes on the 53-man roster for his versatility, or would you release him to clear the $1.3 million in cap space? If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. We are still pushing toward our first 1,000 subscribers, and every one of you helps us get there. Go Hawks! I'll see you in the next one.